on the Wendigo. I already started pulling the front apart. It's pretty easy. You just need to pull the tires off, pull your screws top and bottom here, screw here, and then there's a cover on the back side here. There's 4 screws in there, and all of those are 2mm, but what we're going to be putting in is the machined ring gear, and I've already got the machined pinion in there, and these are actually for the Gen 8, was it 9.5% underdrive, so I figured out the math with the teeth, and it's going to be from 2.9, it'll be like about a 3.2 something, so it's not going to be a huge difference, but they're machined steel, so that's definitely a bonus. Part of the reason is because I did break one of these. These are they're the one piece that comes with the Wendigo. It's very similar to the Gen 8, except the Gen 8, if you can see here, actually has a screw in it and a steel shaft. But now what I'm working on is the diff here, and I already got the 1.5mm screws out of there, but I wanted to mention that these are loose and there was no Loctite in there at all. I didn't check it. I just felt that they were tight when I tore it apart last time, and they were tight, so I didn't do nothing with it. But now they were loose, so I got about 12 6,000 milliamp packs run through it now, so it's got a good amount of run time on it. And the good thing to notice here is the gears on this thing are still in really good condition. They're not sharp, they're not worn whatsoever, so they're definitely a good quality metal on there. Alright, well, I'm going to swap over this diff, and then or the ring gear, and I'll put you back on, and then I got to clean it up and everything, because otherwise the Loctite won't work. So we'll get that done, and yeah, then we'll get you back on. Then we're going to drop the diff in there, and I wanted to show you a little trick I do that a lot of you probably already know about. Now if you look here, the bearings sit tight on both sides, so it keeps any dirt from coming in, but these axle shafts don't have a bearing on the outside. So if you go through any water, you will get water in there. The dirt stays out, but it does get water. What I do is I have a needle on my grease gun, and then I just stick it in there, and then I fill up about half the tube on the inside here with grease, and that way it keeps that water out of there. If you can tell, it's hard to see, but there's no water in there after I did that last time, and we were bombing through puddles and everything else. So alright, I'm going to pop the diff cover back on there, and then I'll put you back on. I got the front put back together. I just had to put these 4 screws in, these 4 stick the axles in there. I wanted to mention too, I can't remember if I said it or not, but you don't have to put a longer link in here to get that drive shaft angle right. Like now you can see it's got just a little bit of an up where the pinion comes out, and before it was actually opposite, where it was actually sticking up this way, and that was causing the universals to bind. But you don't have to do a longer link. You can just take the top link mount, since there's 3 pins, and put it in the far forward one, and it'll do the same thing. Okay, and then what I wanted to go over was some of the tuning things that I did. If you can see from my horrendous crash onto the sidewalk, I did fix this. If you didn't see that video, I'm gonna check it out. I jumped her about 7 feet high and landed it square up, well, on this side, and that's how I'm surprised I didn't break anything else. All I did was just crack the frame off right here and blew up the servo. But the other thing I did, at first I put the shock mount all the way in the bottom hole, but it was causing too much. Like if I did jump, it was slapping on the drive, or the transmission, the axle pretty hard. So I put it back up into the center one, and stock it's actually in the bottom one. The back I put into the top, Excuse me. And then on this one here, there's 3 holes. There's 1, 2, and I put it in the 3rd hole, the furthest one back. And then I had some requests on how I did the shock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this screw and this screw and take the shock off, and then I can show you what I did there. I also wanted to show you that I think the springs are just a little on the soft side. This one I got cranked down almost as far as it can, and this one I left in a stock position, but because I shortened the shock, the tension is about the same as the front with it all the way cranked down. So I'm going to pop that off, and then we'll get into the shock there. Okay, so first thing, you guys probably already know, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to show you anyway. You just pop this up here, like that, get your spring off of there, and then just pop this cap off. You might need a wrench. And then, careful not to spill the oil. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a paint cap here. Dump the oil in there so I can reuse it. And then you need to grab onto this with a pair of pliers. You don't want to overdo it, just enough so you can turn it off of there. Otherwise you can mar the shaft. You can put something in there, but I've had issues with that. It's like it doesn't hold, and then you squeeze harder than you have to, and then the pliers squeezes through the paper or rubber, whatever you're using, and you damage it anyway. So that's how I do it. And then what we do is just push the shaft out here, and then you can see what I changed here is this piece of fuel tubing is actually not supposed to be in there. It's approximately 20 millimeters long, and you just take it apart. You use a piece of fuel tubing, or I've seen some guys use like different things, like you might be able to layer up some shrink tube, perhaps, like put some shrink tube on, heat it, put on another layer and heat it, just so you have enough where the shock isn't going to go. Because what that does is the shock bottom is here. When it extends, it can only go to here instead of all the way up, so it lowers it down. I did lose just a little bit of travel, so I probably will get another pair of front shocks to put on the back as soon as they're available, but those are not available yet. So that's all there is to that. You just put that piece of fuel tube on there, put it back together, and it looks like I didn't get all the oil out because now I got a mess all over the place here. Luckily I have some more oil to top it off. And once you get that on there, these do not have a bladder in them, they just have a gasket in there. So you want it filled all the way to the top. Make sure your shock is pushed all the way in. Oh, perfect. All you gotta do is just reassemble the shock, and then you're good to go. And that's pretty much all I've done to it so far. I guess not performance, but I did put a aluminum bumper. It's actually for an SCX10. And what I did is I've had so many Gen 8s, I just cut the posts off, and this one they actually screw on. I just drilled a little hole in there, and then I adapted that to fit on there. And I did put the headlights in here, and I'm going to finish up with headlights in here and then the bumper. Okay, I think that's about all I was going to cover with you guys today. If I missed something that somebody had asked or whatever like that, post a comment down below and let me know. And yeah, if you like what you're seeing, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you in the next video. The other thing I was going to show you guys here real quick, if you look real close there, you can see I painted up the helmets. I'm going to paint up the rest of the interior